In this video, I've got my contraption back again because I wanted to investigate another example of the sword and the buckler working defensively in tandem or in concert with each other. There are limitations to the reinforced parry, which we talked about. The idea of the stability of the buckler being able to reinforce the sword is limited. So we know that the sword itself is a reliable method of defense. Bringing up a sword parry works. But we also know there's not only a aggressively defensive advantage to the buckler, but that we like the excitement of using it. We like the beating sound that it might make. So if I am in an instance where someone is thrusting or cutting and, say, attacking my high outside line, and I have chosen to defend myself with my sword, that's certainly a reliable defense, but I have to acknowledge I'm tying up my offensive weapon in a defensive action when I have a secondary weapon that's meant to help me with defense. In this instance, after that sword parry, I can bring in the buckler to take over the defensive action while I free the sword for an attacking action. This is called a replacement parry. It's frequently used in two-weapon systems like rapier and dagger, but it absolutely can be used in sword and buckler as well. I did that very slowly and my replacement was an ordinary opposition. We are recalling that the curved nature of the buckler makes the reliability of those opposition parries somewhat limited, and so I can, to hopefully great effect, bring in that buckler with a beating action rather than with a simple opposition parry. So in comes that attack to my right arm. I parry with 3 in my sword, and I bring in the buckler to beat that attack aside. If I couple that beating action, and for a moment I'll need to fix my contraption, if I couple that beating action with a preparation for an attack, I have an exciting both sound and aggressive intent displayed in the same moment. So coupling a replacement parry and the moment of replacement with shifting my originally defensive weapon, the sword, into an attacking position can really be an eye-grabbing thing as well as a plosive sound that the audience really enjoys. So for our purposes, theatrical, dramatic purposes, it's an exciting technique, a replacement parry, which can be done in many lines of attack. I wanted to take a moment to look at our replacement parries from another point of view, because I think a full-bodied experience is part of what the audience experiences, and I think it's part of the exciting part. And it also gives us something to practice to prepare for our sessions. So imagine a world where I am right foot forward, and I have chosen an underarm guard, and someone's coming in with a cut for my right bicep. Instead of defending with the buckler, which is absolutely a choice that we have made, I'm going to lift that buckler out of my way and pass back and defend with a broadsword parry of 3, and then immediately beat with the buckler and lift that broadsword up for a descending thrust. So I've allowed that attacker to come in, I've parried, beaten, and then prepared. And that beat that follows my initial parry is the replacement. And the replacement allows me to free up that broadsword for an offensive action. Okay, what about this option? I'm here in the right side ward or guard, and someone launches a thrusting attack at my left chest because I've left the buckler a little low. Maybe this was an invitation on my part. I'm going to pass back and lift up my broadsword in a high parry of 1, and then reach beyond that broadsword to beat that sword aside as I continue the action of 1 into a moulinet that comes and descends down at my partner's head. Let me turn that one sideways so you can see it from the side. Here I was left foot forward with my buckler a little low, tempting them to attack my chest. I bring the buckler in as I pass back, and I bring up a parry of 1. Then I reach beyond the buckler with the face to beat that aside, and I continue that movement of the parry of 1 behind me into a moulinet that can descend into a cut to the top of my partner's head. So imagine, if you would, that boom bam kind of sound that's going to come from each of these, boom bam kind of sound, that's going to be accompanied with a big movement into a cutting attack or an abrupt movement into a thrusting attack. If I turn this first one sideways, here they are attacking to my right side. I'm parrying in broadsword with 3. I'm beating with the shield buckler, and I am preparing that point really in what we know as ox, right, from a longsword, into a descending thrust to the chest. So both of these can be exciting examples of replacement parries. They're not the only one, but I'm recommending you give them a try, and we'll experiment with them in our sessions. I'm sure they're going to be coming up in some of our future choreography.